Hello, my name is Pastor Kris Kollar. I'm the pastor of Pleasant Valley Lutheran Church near Malabar Farm and St. Paul Lutheran Church in Lucas, Ohio. Greetings. We are reading through the Bible with commentary, and today we are starting another book, the book of Ruth, which is the, I've lost count, 8th book of the Bible, the Torah, first 5 books of the Bible, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, followed by Joshua and Judges. And now we are into the 8th book, which is Ruth. And in Judges, we saw that it was the time back in the day when Israel did not have a king. And as they go through the book of Judges, things get worse and worse and worse. And the last session we did was really awful, with cutting up people and war and just all kinds of terrible things. Ruth is like a breath of fresh air in comparison. Just such a wonderful, fun, lovely book. It's only 4 chapters. We could do it in one session, but I'm going to do it 2 chapters today and 2 chapters in the next session. And it's worth, actually, I could probably just do 1 chapter a session, but we do want to get through the entire Bible eventually. So we're going to do half of it today, half of it the next time. While I was in seminary, I took a class, Old Testament, actually 2 Old Testament classes with an amazing professor, Dr. Daniel L. Hawk, and I was told to write an exegesis, which is a big fancy paper for a real in-depth look at a scripture. So I could pick a passage. I picked a passage from Ruth. I went to the seminary library to find resources about the book of Ruth. The first book that I pulled off the shelf was by Dr. Daniel Hawk. I thought, there is nothing that I can say about the book of Ruth that Dr. Hawk has not already thought, read, and probably wrote. We are not going that in depth. I'm not doing an exegesis. We're just reading through the Bible with commentary, keeping it on a level that's easy to read. But I suspect that I will, as I go through this, have extra little comments that want to just pop up a little bit. One of the things that I do remember Dr. Hawk talking about that I found very fascinating was this idea of these 2 voices, these 2 kind of strains through the Old Testament. And the one being from the priests, who are like, we must be pure, we must be proper, we must do all of the laws and all of the rules and not intermarry, and never ever have a Moabite that is part of your family, just none, everything pure. And the other strain, the other voice, is this voice of forgiveness and mercy and grace and inclusion and looking out for people on the edges of society, talking about faithfulness and following God. Not so much following God by keeping the rules, but following God by taking care of the poor and the people on the edges of society. And Dr. Hawk pointed to the book of Ruth as an example of that. And so much of what we've read so far, especially Deuteronomy, all these rules and all these, these people married somebody who wasn't Jewish and they're thrown out, they're killed, they're out. And here, in contrast, is the book of Ruth, about somebody from Moab and who should be like, oh, this terrible person, and that is not at all the voice, that is not at all the message. So just this wonderful explanation about how Ruth represents the other side of these 2 voices, these 2 strains within the Bible. So chapter 1. In the days when the judges ruled, in other words, back in the day, way before we had any kings, way before Saul or David or Solomon, back in the day, there was a famine in the land, and a certain man of Bethlehem in Judah went to live in the country of Moab, he and his wife and 2 sons. The name of the man was Elimelech, and the name of his wife was Naomi. And the names of his 2 sons were Mahlon and Chilion. They were Ephrathites from Benjamin and Judah. And the footnotes say Bethlehem means house of bread, but here's a famine and they are leaving the house of bread. And that Naomi means sweetness, which we will hear that later. And that Mahlon and Chilion mean diseased and I've already lost it. Diseased and perishing. So there's a little, if you were an ancient Hebrew hearing this story, you would know. Doesn't look good for these two guys. They went to the country of Moab and remained there. But Elimelech, the husband of Naomi, died, and she was left with her 2 sons. These took Moabite wives. The name of the one was Orpah, and the name of the other Ruth. When they had lived there about 10 years, both Mahlon and Chilion also died, so that the woman was left without her 2 sons and her husband. So, if you were a woman in the ancient Near East and living in either Moab or Israel or any of that whole area, there's not exactly Social Security that's going to send you a check every month. There's not welfare. There's your son, there's your husband, there's your father. So here she is, a widow, and she has lost both of her sons, so she has no man. And even here in the United States, until about 1974, if you were not attached to some kind of man, it was difficult, not impossible, but difficult to get a credit card as a woman. So she's out there on her own. What is she going to do? Verse 6, Then she started to return with her daughters-in-law from the country of Moab, for she had heard in the country of Moab that the Lord had considered his people and given them food. So the famine's over. Let's go back home, and going to go back to where she's from. Verse 7. So she set out from the place where she had been living, she and her 2 daughters-in-law, and they went on their way to go back to the land of Judah. But Naomi said to her 2 daughters-in-law, Go back, each of you, to your mother's house. May the Lord deal kindly with you as you have dealt with the dead and with me. The Lord grant that you may find security, each of you, in the house of your husband. In other words, go back home, be under your father, and get remarried, and then you'll have security. This is what I'm praying for you. Then she kissed them, and they wept aloud. Verse 10, Then they said to her, No, we will return with you to your people. But Naomi said, Turn back, my daughters. Why will you go with me? Do I still have sons in my womb, that they may become your husbands? Turn back, my daughters, go your way, for I'm too old to have a husband. Even if I thought there was hope for me, even if I should have a husband tonight and bear sons, would you then wait until they were grown? Would you then refrain from marrying? No, my daughters, it has been far more bitter for me than for you, because the hand of the Lord has turned against me. Then they wept aloud again. Orpah kissed her mother-in-law, but Ruth clung to her. So the tradition was, if your husband died, his brother was supposed to give you a child in his name. We read about that back in the laws and rules and things. She's like, yeah, you're not going to wait until I don't even have a husband, and if I did get one, then I'm going to have 2 sons, and you guys are going to wait till they grow up another 20 years, or even 15. It's not happening. So Orpah kisses her, but Ruth clung to her. Verse 15, So she said, See, your sister-in-law has gone back to her people and to her gods. Return after your sister-in-law. But Ruth said, Do not press me to leave you or to turn back from following you. And this is all in poetic language. Where you go, I will go. Where you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God, my God. Where you die, I will die. There I will be buried. May the Lord do thus and so to me, and more as well, if even death parts me from you. Just one of the most beautiful passages in the Bible of loyalty, of fealty, of just love and faithfulness. Like, your God is my God. I am part of the people of Israel now. So, and this wonderful understatement, verse 18, when Naomi saw that she was determined to go with her, she said no more to her. I'm like, yeah, she just basically said, I'm going with you. I'm dying with you. Nothing you can say will change my mind. So off they go, the 2 of them. Verse 19, So the 2 of them went on until they came to Bethlehem. When they came to Bethlehem, the whole town was stirred because of them. And the women said, Is this Naomi? She said to them, Call me no longer Naomi, call me Mara. Because Naomi is like pleasant or sweet, and Mara is bitter. For the Almighty has dealt bitterly with me. And where we hear the word Almighty, it's the Hebrew word Shaddai. Where we hear the word Lord, it's this tetragrammaton, these four letters, sometimes named Yahweh or Yahweh, but YHWH. But here we are having Shaddai. For the Almighty Shaddai has dealt bitterly with me. I went away full, but the Lord has brought me back empty. Why call me Naomi when the Lord has dealt harshly with me, and the Almighty has brought calamity upon me? So why does she say Yahweh and then Shaddai? Possibly just because it is poetical at that point. Verse 22, so Naomi returned together with Ruth the Moabite, her daughter-in-law, who came back with her from the country of Moab. They came to Bethlehem at the beginning of the barley harvest. Chapter 2. Now Naomi had a kinsman on her husband's side, a prominent rich man of the family of Elimelech, whose name was Boaz. So not Naomi's actual relative, it's her dead husband's relative, Boaz. And Ruth the Moabite said to Naomi, let me go to the field and glean among the ears of grain behind someone in whose sight I may find favor. She said to her, go, my daughter. So she went. She came and gleaned in the field behind the reapers. So as you might remember, as we were reading through the laws and rules, it says more than one place that when you harvest a field, do not take every little bit of it. Leave some around the edges. If you miss a swipe, don't go back for that swipe. Don't be too thorough. Leave some of it behind so that the poor people can come and collect so that they can have. Because again, there's no Social Security, there's no food assistance, there's leave some behind for the poor people. So she's like, I'm going to go and glean. As it happened, she came to the part of the field belonging to Boaz, who was of the family of Elimelech. Just then Boaz came from Bethlehem. He said to the reapers, the Lord be with you. They answered, the Lord bless you. Then Boaz said to his servant, who was in charge of the reapers, to whom does this young woman belong? So, for starters, he's a good, righteous man who's greeting everybody in the name of the Lord. And of course, this young woman must have some man, husband, father, brother, somebody that she's underneath, that she belongs to. Verse 6, the servant who was in charge of the reapers answered, she is the Moabite who came back with Naomi from the country of Moab. She said, please let me glean and gather among the sheaves behind the reapers. So she came, and she has been on her feet from early this morning until now, without resting for even a moment. Verse 8, then Boaz said to Ruth, now listen, my daughter, do not go to glean in another field, or leave this one, but keep close to my young women. So there's also women working for Boaz, possibly servants, slaves, employees. Keep your eyes on the field that is being reaped and follow behind them. I have ordered the young men not to bother you. If you get thirsty, go to the vessels and drink from what the young men have drawn. Then she fell prostrate with her face to the ground, and she said to him, why have I found favor in your sight that you should take notice of me when I'm a foreigner? She says, I'm at the bottom of the social ladder, and you're being so kind to me. You're making sure nobody's going to harass me, nobody's going to hassle me, nobody's going to abuse me. You're providing me water. Why are you being so good to me? Verse 11, but Boaz answered her, all that you have done for your mother-in-law since the death of your husband has been fully told me, and how you left your father and mother and your native land and came to a people that you did not know before. May the Lord reward you for your deeds, and may you have a full reward from the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wings you have come for refuge. And I love the fact that Bethlehem is still not a very big town, and this is probably 2,500, 3,000 years ago. It was very much not a very big town. So, of course, everybody in town is talking about the fact that Naomi has come back and brought this girl with her, and that the girl is being faithful and going out and gleaning and just a wonderful young person to be with Naomi. And so he's heard about it, and he is saying, may the Lord bless you and protect you. Verse 13, then she said, may I continue to find favor in your sight, my lord, for you have comforted me and spoken kindly to your servant, even though I am not one of your servants. Verse 14, at mealtime Boaz said to her, come here and eat some of this bread and dip your morsel in the sour wine. So she sat beside the reapers, and he heaped up for her some parched grain. She ate until she was satisfied, and she had some left over. When she got up to glean, Boaz instructed his young men, let her glean even among the standing sheaves, and do not reproach her. You must also pull out some handfuls for her from the bundles, and leave them for her to glean, and do not rebuke her. So not only does she get to come and eat lunch, he provided her lunch, and then plenty of lunch, enough that she had leftovers, and then he's telling his servants, slave servants, to even pull some out and make it even easier for her to glean, because she still has to go out there and pick it up and do the gleaning, the picking. Verse 17, so she gleaned in the field until evening. Then she beat out what she had gleaned, and it was about an ephah of barley. I'm not sure how much an ephah is, and I don't see a quick footnote about it, but the beating out part is because barley, like wheat, grows on a stem with little buds at the top, and you don't take the whole bunch of sheaves. As you're picking, you might have like an armful of a sheaf of all these stalks, but you don't take all the stalks home. You beat it till all the kernels fall off. You gather up the kernels and take that home. So she has enough to take home to say, oh. She picked it up and came into the town, and her mother-in-law saw how much she had gleaned. Then she took out and gave her what was left over after she herself had been satisfied. So she also gave her lunch leftovers. Her mother-in-law said to her, where did you glean today, and where have you worked? Blessed be the man who took notice of you. So she told her mother-in-law with whom she had worked, and said, the name of the man with whom I work today is Boaz. Then Naomi said to her daughter-in-law, blessed be he by the Lord, whose kindness has not forsaken the living or the dead. Naomi also said to her, the man is a relative of ours, one of our nearest kin. There's a footnote here that says, one with the right to redeem. Apparently in Hebrew there is a lot of the word redeem. It appears both as an act to redeem somebody or a person who can do the redeeming, in this case Boaz. Apparently in Hebrew that theme is very, very obvious, that it's all about redemption and being redeeming. So he has the right to redeem, meaning he has the right to this field that is owned technically by Naomi's dead husband. He's one of our nearest kin, the right to redeem. Then Ruth the Moabite said, he even said to me, stay close by my servants until they have finished all my harvest. Naomi said to Ruth, her daughter-in-law, it is better, my daughter, that you go out with his young women, otherwise you might be bothered in another field. And we all know what bothered means if you're a woman. Verse 23, so she stayed close to the young women of Boaz, gleaning until the end of the barley and wheat harvests, and she lived with her mother-in-law. So first comes the barley, then comes the wheat harvest. So that is the first half of the book of Ruth. We will do the other half tomorrow, or hopefully tomorrow. We'll see. My editor's been having some issues, but I'm going to keep recording them and trust that eventually they'll all get posted up eventually. But we have set up the story that this woman has come from Moab. Oh, Moab. And she is faithful, and she is amazing and hardworking and taking care of her mother-in-law, who's, her husband's gone, but these two women are sticking it out, going together, doing what they can. So we'll hear the rest of the story next time. In the meantime, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord look at you with favor and give you peace. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Go in peace, serve the Lord, like, subscribe, comment. Thanks so much for being here. We'll see you again next time.